This is Mr. O'Keefe's patch. And our patch once again. Expedition 4 is shown up in the upper side, and on the bottom right is Valery, Peggy, and Sergey of Expedition 5. Here we are in the suit room on our second attempt at launch and our successful one. And me, Paco, Franklin, and Pepe all set to go. And our Expedition 5 crew members also very, very excited to get going.
Here's the launch, as you can tell, and instead of trying to tell you, what it looks like and sounds like, which I'm sure you've heard many times before, I'd like you to realize as you see us go up, and also you see the insert on the right, which is showing from a camera out our overhead window and shows the roll program. I want you to know that I was able to stay equal and ahead of the vehicle on what was happening, and to keep up and know what the next event was due to the training that I had for my first flight as a pilot. It was outstanding, and it allowed me to know what was happening at all times. And as we were coming up to the solid rocket motor separation, I could feel the tail off of the thrust, and then those separated. And just to let you know, once we continued on up, as we came up to the roll to heads up, which was probably about another 4 minutes after the separation, Taco and I had a bet which way the vehicle would roll, towards him or towards me, and I lost.
So it's time for everybody on the ground to celebrate, but it's time for us to start working, and here I am rushing to try to get the ET tank photo DTO.
And quickly, we are on orbit, and of course the first thing to do is open the cargo bays, which allow the orbiter to cool properly and sustain the orbit.
We'll fast forward now to the meat of the mission. We're in the rendezvous phase, and I've just finished the TI burn. I move back to the aft station, and Paco takes over my seat and does the mid-course correction burns for the last part of the rev.
That was a shot that I took from the docking compartment. That was actually part of TI, and seeing Endeavour arrive was just a great feeling, knowing that it's your ride home.
This is us on the V-bar as we're approaching the final part of the approach, and if you look through the overhead windows, you can see the station as we slowly climb up or fall down the V-bar toward it.
And we were in all the windows available trying to get pictures, and also getting some pictures from the SSRMS as well. We were very excited as STS 111 was coming forward to dock.
Yeah, my task there was to get the relative velocity, and I was using my eyes, my right eyes. That's why I'm closing one eye, because I was trying to look at the picture, and that's how we measure the velocity. You don't want to be too fast, but you don't want to be too slow.
After the two rings engage and 500,000 pounds of space vehicle is joined, we ring the rings together and create a seal. And after we check it for no leaks, we're able to go in and greet the other crew.
It was a very emotional moment, as you can tell. And of course, on the other end, this is what Carl and Dan were feeling.
Yeah, it's always great to see new faces on board, and especially knowing that it's your ride home. But we knew that you can see the stuff down by the feet there. There was some of the temp stowed equipment that we had. And we were also waiting for Franklin to come. He was the last one to come on board and finally get him. This was part of the handover ceremony. If y'all know, the first one got cut short a little bit, but this one we did complete and handed over the helm to Expedition 5.
On the fourth flight day, we pulled the MPLM out of the cargo bay. Then we smiled for the camera that was going by and commenced transfer operations.
And this one actually was also EVA preparations. Part of the transfer, we had to get the suits. But the work on board continued, and that was one of the important things, is that we were able to multiplex many tasks together in order to accomplish what we needed to do.
But it's time to go EVA, and that's a long day. That starts with the pre-brief protocol, and here you see me with the oxygen mask.
This is Peggy and I working in the EVA prep, and you would have seen the two astronauts, or Philippe and Franklin, in the actual crew lock, and here they are exiting for one of their EVAs.
This was the first order of business, basically on the end of the arm, to go and retrieve this grapple fixture. This is a device that allows the arm to lift things, and it will be relocated by us. You see me here on the arm being driven to the location over on the station where Pepe is already waiting for me to get it installed and for later use.
So on that first EVA, Franklin was on the arm, and I was doing all the workout, trying to go from one place to another one. And here is the view I had, going along the seal of the bay. So, but no time to look at the Earth, because it was about time to install the shields, and that's what you see here on that picture. Of course, you do, and you work day, and you work during the night. And things are slightly different. During the night pass, you get a little bit disoriented, and you get some feeling of being tired. Where during the day pass, you feel really great. Except at the end of the EVA, that's about 6 hours into the first EVA.
At this point, we are just about finished with the with EVA 1, but there's still a few things to do. And that is, we have to get the MBS, which is still in the cargo bay, and we need to get it ready for later, as we walk back into the station, the robotics people, the arm that will take it off of the cargo bay and take it and put it on the station. In order to do that, we have to remove several blankets that are covering sensitive avionics that are have to be kept at a proper temperature. And all of that had to be done in a timely manner. We are fairly tired at this point. But we got it done.
And here we have the unberthing of the MBS. The MBS, of course, was then mated with the mobile transporter, the MT, on the S0 truss, and this will provide a platform so that the station robotic arm can move along the truss, and we can continue the superb construction and complete the power grid.
And once the MBS is on the station, then the job is to connect and deploy a few things. So we were able to also give signals to each other. We thought that nobody was seeing that, but actually, it's too bad. Anyway, we had to do a few pieces of work, right? For example, this big arm had to be moved out. It's about 400 or so pounds that you have to rotate, and then you have to tie it down with bolts. And then we finish that and move on to the EVA 3.
So that was my time to relax and be on the arm, and Franklin had the good workout. But actually I had some good workout too, because we had a lot of bolts to handle, and that was a critical moment, because here we take the end effector out of the arm, and we know that the clock is ticking now. Here I am taking the new joint in the bay, and you can tell by the color of the new joint, the old joint being slightly below. And it's about time to install that joint. And we started that EVA a little bit late for different reasons, so we basically had to catch up and work faster than we had done in the pool. And we ended up spending more than 7.5 hours outside. But all this Canadian hardware was very well designed to be changed out in space. So we did not really struggle too much with the hardware, except that it was broken in the first place. But
So you can see that the work involved, removing something, replacing with a new one, and then stowing the failed joint for bringing it back. You can see the new joint, it has a different color. And that was the end of our job. And of course, by then we were pretty tired. And we were asked to hurry up and come back in. And the station guys had the dinner ready for us.
It was a great pleasure for me to be able to operate, or actually help Valery operate the arm, and that was the arm working in 7 degrees of freedom, something we hadn't seen in several months.
Purple gloves. This is just some of the in-cabin activities you use to keep yourself going each day.
This is the bravest man I've ever seen in space. I'd never seen anybody shave quite so fast. One of the many laptop computers, and this is, we had Outlook email available. And I don't have a nickname of Taco for nothing. I'm making a breakfast Mexican burrito here, and I'm giving it to Paco to have for breakfast. And have.
Well, we tried to do a little science, fluid physics, which I was hoping to show my crewmates, except, and it was all going well until the pilots got involved.
This is a little bit of a tour. We're looking from the lab into the node, and things are starting to get, as we moved things out into the MPLM, it was good to see the layers disappear, and actually was kind of fun when Taco asked for layers 4 and 5. Looking back into the lab here, and this was probably a time where we still had, actually that was a lot of the stowage that had come on board, and we were temp stowing it. Peggy had a good idea to temp stow things that she knew they were going to use right away. That area down at the bottom there is where the lab window was, and that used to be totally full with CTBs, and those bags right there were actually ones that came on board and were temp stowed as well. And now, and we still seem like we have a good bit of space, and now we'll enter into the shuttle world again. And it was took a bit getting used to living in such a large area and then coming into this.
Yes, I used to think the shuttle was big also, but with 9 refrigerators in the mid-deck, it isn't.
So the third EVA being done, it was time to relax, but not completely, because we still had to take our suitcase back into the bay, and that was great flying. You really want to make sure that everything is on the right side of the MPLM hatch before you close the hatch. I had the privilege to close that last ODS hatch and leave all our friends, and it was quite an emotional moment.
We're starting to separate now at about 0.15 feet per second, and this was a great pleasure for me to have the chance that Taco gave me to fly the vehicle away from the space station, and I knew as I flew that I was providing a wonderful opportunity for Carl and Dan and everyone else to look and see the space station in a beautiful way. And this is Taco making sure I'm flying the right direction. And Taco also gave me the best sun angle, so I had to wear something to protect the eyes a little bit. And this is just the view as we continue to move away.
Once again, just seeing the beautiful ship was absolutely incredible, and once again, thank you, Tommy Holloway, for providing us and giving us such a great ship up there. I would have never believed this could have happened even 6 years ago. It was truly hard to believe, but it's a great ship.
And Franklin and I, we would check that the everything would stay in place, the shields would not be floating away, and the MBS was securely attached on the MT. That was our first attempt to get back on Earth, and it takes a lot of time for everybody to get ready, and Then we had a second attempt, and then we had the third attempt.
This is during reentry, and I was very fortunate that I had that Taco gave me the chance, as well as NASA, to fly the vehicle. And I'd like to let you know that Endeavour came alive at around Mach 5. All of a sudden, you could hear the wind, and she started shaking, and I realized that things were happening really quick.
We have a view from a ground camera that's the main picture here, and in the upper left inset is a view out the pilot's front window, looking through the head-up display at the runway 22 at Edwards Air Force Base. Had just a gorgeous day there, and the reports from the ground were that you could see Endeavour from about 100 miles away with the naked eye, and the cameras were tracking it that distance as well. We're flying downhill on a 20-degree glide slope, which is a little steep. It's sort of like a dive bombing run out of which you land. And we, because of the conditions of the day, the speed brake was open pretty big, and so we had a very fast deceleration rate, and things were happening quickly. We lower the gear here, Paco does, at about 300 feet above the ground. It causes a lot of drag, so you don't want to put it down too early, and it causes a whole lot of drag if you put it down too late, so there's a narrow window of putting the wheels down. There's a touchdown, and then we deploy the drag chute, and as luck would have it, the drag chute blossomed, disreefed to its full diameter right there just before the nose gear touchdown, so even nose gear touchdown was pretty soft, and even they weren't on intercom at the time, but we could hear the cheer on the flight deck from the mid-deck as the wheels of Endeavour hit terra firma again. The comment inside the cabin was, okay, Taco, you're past midfield, you're below 140 knots, you can use the brakes. And I said, well, if I can lift my feet to them, I will push on them a little bit. It never ceases to amaze you how heavy you feel.